In this video, I want to go over a knife designed by BPS Knives. It's called their Adventurer. It's made in Ukraine, and it's a rather unique knife. This one here I kind of customized and did a few things to, but I bought it a while back, did a few little things to it and everything. I'll go over that more when I go inside to do a more in-depth review. But this is probably one of the better knives for the value that you can find out there. If you're looking for something that you might want to do some kind of camping, hunting, bushcrafting or something with, and by purchasing these knives, you'd also be supporting Ukraine, which BPS Knives is based out of, and they make a lot of real neat knives lately. When I bought this, they only had a few selections, but they've started to grow as a company. I think it was started by a father and son working in their garage doing stuff, and then it ended up evolving. But let's go inside and compare this knife to some other knives and talk about BPS knives overall. Alright, so if we go over the BPS knife, when I originally got it, it came with the knife, the leather sheath, and the ferro rod, along with a little wiping pad. The blade was covered with a piece of cardboard. I'll throw some images and stuff up. But it came as a pretty neat knife. I've had it for a little while. But because it's such a great value, I feel overall, I figure I'd do a video on it and everything. I did add some leather coating preservatives to the sheath, so it kind of darkened up a little bit. I added on little 550 tie-on straps and everything. I did end up taking the handles off. They come off with Allen screws, and I ended up doing a forced patina etching type thing on the blade, just because it does come as 1066 carbon, which is kind of like 1095, and it tends to patina or rust pretty easily. It was coated pretty well. I ended up doing a little treatment with vinegar and mustard, and kind of did a little bit of a forced patina with it and everything. You can use Coca-Cola, apple cider vinegar, all different things to force a patina on a knife, and they can come out in different ways, but it's a way to kind of prevent it from rusting a lot. They say these things are used in the front lines of Ukraine, and I have no doubt they're very nice knives overall. The walnut handles and walnut that they use on the ferro rods are pretty good. I've bought a lot of knives before that didn't come with ferro rods, and these things are running $30-something. I think they're up to $40-something now, but they're actually a pretty neat knife. The company overall makes a lot of neat stuff, and if you go to their website, I think they do a lot of sales on Amazon and everything, but they do have a good value for what they're offering you. Some people may knock the 1095 steel, but from what I've seen and read, their heat treatment is done in-house, so they have a consistent heat treatment that they end up doing, and overall their knives have held up well. The only thing that I wish I kind of maybe messed with, I don't know how well it'll show up here, but there's tooling mark designs going up and down that are kind of in there, and I want to do like an angled tiger stripe with the forced patina that I did. So in hindsight, I probably could have polished the blade down, but I did this a while back, and I was kind of just in a hurry to mess with it and see what would happen. A lot of knives you can buy are a little bit more expensive, and they're going to have a coating on them or something else. This has a real sharp 90-degree spine that you can strike a ferro rod with. The handles on it are pretty good, and I'll compare this right here to some other knives. One knife that this BPS Adventurer reminds me of a little bit is the Benchmade Bushcrafter. Benchmade Bushcrafter comes with a leather sheath. I think this is buckskin. Normally it's a lot tanner. Again, I treated the sheath with some leather treatment. But when you get this knife right here that costs probably 3 to 4 times the price of the Adventurer, you also have to go out and buy a dangler because it doesn't come with a dangler, and you end up having to buy a ferro rod. So the Adventurer comes with a nice leather sheath. It comes with a ferro rod. It comes with its nice wooden handles and a little bit longer blade. The thickness is going to be a lot different on the Bushcrafter and The Bushcrafter obviously is going to end up being S30V steel, kind of like in that fancier steel class and everything. But for the cost of it and for the average use, the Adventurer is probably a better value. If you got a lot of money and want to get something that's on a lot of bucket list things for some people, then the Bushcrafter's neat. The handle's a little bit different. I don't have any issues with it, but I know other people have complained how the handle kind of fills out and everything. But for me, it fits in a good grip. You can get a good purchase on it. There's little notches by the thumbs and everything, but this is a little bit different knife, a little more high-end, where this is going to be a good all-around utility knife to use. This might be a special hiking camping knife that you use. Let's look at some other knives. Alright, I'm going to just run through a few other knives real quick. You have the Mora 2000. Mora makes some very nice, affordable knives and everything. I would say the Adventurer has a little bit of a leg up on them, even though technically the $30-something you'll pay for the Adventurer are going to be a little more than the 20-something you might pay for the Moras. But you can see the blade's a little bit thicker on the Adventurer. The Moras are not a full tang on most of their lines. They're kind of a rat tang that comes back. A little bit different than like a K-bar might be, where a K-bar actually comes all the way to the end. These finish inside. But Moras are very good knives for those that have used them. They hold up very well and everything. They have their Cost Bowl version. This is probably one of the more popular ones. And again, it's right along the same lines with the thinner blade and everything. This doesn't have a true Scandi grind, where on this one right here you get a true Scandi grind that holds up very well. And then you also end up having a drop point blade. So you end up getting, I don't know how well it'll show, a nice strong tip on this and everything. And with the Scandi grind, it keeps the blade strength going through it pretty much. Where you have a decent cutting edge, which will split, chop, cut, and do most of your needs. Where the Moras here, they kind of taper them off and have a few edges and ledges as it comes down. But again, the Moras are a standard for some people. And just to show, this is a Mora Bushcrafter. Here we end up getting into where we have the true Scandi grind. Blade's a little bit smaller on it. Blade thickness is close to the same. The Mora might be a little bit thicker. But that's where you start getting into a closer competition with the Adventurer. And then finally we end up with the Garberg. The Mora Garberg is a full tang knife. It comes all the way to the back. You get your lanyard hole so you can lash stuff off. It does have a Scandi grind as well. And it does have that drop point. But the Mora Garberg is probably going to be at least twice as what the Adventurer would cost. Another knife I like a lot is the SRK-C, which is a compact version of the SRK. My gunner in Iraq carried an SRK first tour that we did, and it's nice long blade, strong, could crack open ammo boxes and everything else. And like I said, the blade thicknesses are pretty close. The overall length is nice. I'm not a fan of having over a 5.5 inch blade or so. Usually between 4.5 and 5.5 inches is where my sweet spot is for knife blade sizes. And this right here is the SE4. The SE is known for being a full tang knife. It has the 1095 steel, which some people may say is a little bit better, 95% carbon versus the 66%. The SE does have a full coating on it the way it comes from the factory, so it won't rust or anything. If you want to strike a ferro rod on this, good luck. It's going to be a little bit harder to do. But the SE also costs 2 to 3 times what the cost of the Adventurer is. Same with the Becker BK16. It's going to be a little bit shorter than it. The Becker BK16 has kind of a skeletonized handle inside here. It's full tang for going all the way around, but there are cutouts in it, where this is more like the SE, where it's a solid underneath part and everything. Again, blade thicknesses. Here you get a little bit of jimping. If you like jimping, the BPS Knives do offer some of their lines that have jimping on it and stuff and different things like that. I'll try and show some more of their knives and maybe post a link down below or something in the description box. Here's how it compares to the Tops Bob. Again, Scandi grind. You have your drop point blade. Here you have a little bit of jimping, and you have the same little side purchase areas as the Bushcrafter. Like I said, with the higher end knives, you do get some better stuff, including like micarta scales and everything versus the walnut wood. And then last, I guess we can compare it to the Gerber Infantryman, or I think it was the LMF. This knife right here is more of a rescue tool for aviation units and stuff, as well as being a survival tool. It does have holes here for lashing. It does have a serrated blade that I don't like, and the serrations are on the wrong side if you're a right-handed person. So if you're right-handed and want to use it, it's not as good unless you're going to be doing it as a draw knife towards you to be able to work with wood and cut certain things, because of the way the bevel and the blade ends up working out. But like I said, this is a little bit of a comparison. You get a lot thicker blade with it. This doesn't have a full tang in it. It actually stops kind of short because it's designed to be used in aviation units. It's kind of funny they called it an infantry knife. But for shock hazards and electrical stuff, it's meant so that it is safe to cut through, like electrical wires and stuff like that if you have to punch out of something. It also has like a glass breaker and stuff, but this is more of a military style survival knife type thing for aviation units. But I have no doubt that this BPS knife probably served well for the people in Ukraine. Hopefully the company will be around for a while, depending on how the war goes. If not, then these knives may become a collectible thing for some people. But they have knives going from about $20-something all the way up to probably $50, $60, depending on what you're looking at. I noticed they came out with a whole new line when I looked at some of the stuff before doing this video. So you might check them out. I'll try and maybe post a link to their site. I'm not affiliated with anyone. I'm just a guy who buys gear and likes to share and try and become a content creator. If you enjoy this video, do me a favor, like, subscribe, share. Cav Cop out.